like-minded, who understand our programs, who agree with our programs, to go to Congress. And representatives in Congress then have to take the ball and, through the political process constitutionally provided for us, use the amendment clause. Again, I'll emphasize the legal, peaceful way to change from a corporate society that we have here, an autocratic corporate society, to an economic democracy is through the Congress. But the representatives have to be there, and they have to be our representatives. Now, you can talk about independent parties, such as some people on television say, let's have independent parties. But if the parties are not independent of corporate thinking, and if the parties are specifically aiming at democracy in our places of work and in our civic governments, then they're the kind that we have to have in Congress. But it starts at our local levels. It starts that if you're interested, call me. I'll call this one, I'll call that one. Let's get together. Let's form a local political party. Let's form a state political party. And that's the way it happens. And I don't think any truth addressed to power would fail. I don't think so, because there are more of us than there are of them. So once more, people who work in all the industries, they represent the overwhelming majority electorate. Once the people who are doing all the work understand what democracy would mean to them in their workplaces and in their civic governments, there's no way that they would reject democracy in their lives, freed of the oppressive corporate structure, freed from the oppressive political shenanigans that go on today. The most cynicized people in our society today are the electorate. You can see all of the polls. Congress has a very low rating. The president has a very low rating. Nobody wants them, but they have nothing to replace them with. If they heard our voices, and then we can organize sensibly, politically, within all the laws that require legal and lawful change in our society. We can do it. There's no question in my mind we can do it.
So you don't think any of the two parties that we have now can give us the real democracy?
Absolutely not. Two-party system, one idea. One two-party system, one program. Two-party system, same voices. I've heard in Washington, from Washington, that before any major legislation is even proposed out of committee or introduced, they slide this thing through some corporate entity that has an interest in it. So how can that be simply for the people? No, it's always in view of for the corporation. And there's also a kind of a dictum among politicians that what's good for capitalism, what's good for the economic system is good for the people. Now, that's so fallacious. You know, it sounds good, but once you examine it, you know that it's not. It can't be true. Because we have, if it's good for the people, why is a depression good for people? Why is leading us into a war for the resources of another country that might benefit a corporation here good for the people? Why is it good for the people to go to for corporations to set up mailboxes in Bermuda somewhere so that they don't have to pay corporate taxes here in our society? So they have their corporate mailbox headquarters in an island offshore, and they're freed from the corporate taxes here. So why is that good for us? So those people who say what's good for the system is good for the people, it's just pure propaganda on their part. No, we need to organize together locally so our representatives sent to Congress do the things that will embellish and produce a democracy here in our society.
What have some of our founding fathers said about change?
Well, I know Washington always said that whenever people don't like the system they have the right to change it. Lincoln also said the same thing, but Lincoln was very specific and succinct about how he separated people who work from people who invest in workers. And that's a big distinction to look at. People who work and do the work, or people who invest in workers. These are the two factors that capitalism is based upon. You invest in a guy to be, say,